thank a lot of teachers, but the one I'm thinking of is Mrs. Estel from 3rd grade in 1970 something, when my parents had just got divorced. This teacher just saw, little Johnny Ike just kind of down in the dumps and put a lot of investment into me that year. And I remember one time at lunch, and I guess you could do this in the 70s, she took me in her car down to McDonald's and bought me my very first quarter pounder. And she said, hey, look, you're ordering a quarter pounder, not a hamburger, because it's time for you to grow up a little bit at home, help your mom out more, do well in school. And she just made a lifelong impression. She took a moment in time and said, hey, I'm going to make a difference in this kid's life. And so thanks to all the teachers out there that find those moments to make a difference in a kid's life.
I wanted to thank Mr. Smith, my 6th grade teacher, even though I was an EL growing up, and he was the first teacher that had that type of interest with me and invested his time with me and other ELs actually.
I have to say that there have been 2 teachers who have truly made an impact in my life. The first one was my 2nd grade teacher, Miss Kuga. She came into my life right when I needed her. I was a struggling reader and seemed, in my mind, to be the last one to start reading. But when I went into her classroom, she approached me with a loving care and made me just feel like that was just okay and I was where I needed to be at that moment. And she got me the support I needed and connected me with a tutor to help me read and supported me along the way.
Mrs. Carolyn Kirby, my 5th grade teacher from Pattison Elementary School in Katy, Texas, had a tremendous impact on who I became as a teacher. Mrs. Kirby was a little bit loud, a little bit funky, a lot eccentric, and I loved that. She was a think outside the box teacher who made me feel safe as a creative outside the box thinker in her class.
The teacher that made an impact in my life was Mr. Silva in 7th grade. When I had just arrived from Mexico, he told me that his goal for me was to be in ESL classes for 6 months because he saw that I had a lot of potential to grow.
The teacher that made the most impact on me for sure would have to have been my 6th grade teacher, Miss McDonald. I think I've had a lot of great teachers. I've been very lucky, but she was definitely the first one that really, I think, got me to change my attitude about learning and the impact that you could have, with knowledge. Yeah, she believed in me, and I think she was the very first one, at least the very first teacher I remember that believed in me and that encouraged me.
The teacher I would like to thank is John Holcomb. John Holcomb was my senior year English teacher. Mr. Holcomb was the first teacher at the end of a frustrating day with our class who announced to the whole class, there are 2 students in this classroom who I believe will be successful in college. And then he said my name. And that gave me so much confidence.
The teacher that probably had the biggest impact on me was Mr. Pintar, who was my United States history teacher and basketball coach in high school. And I just remember a lot of the great projects that we did in that class, especially this one that we did in the 1960s where we kind of hit a lot of the different things like the music, the styles, and what.
I'm going to pick Ben Cogswell as my teacher, who I would like to thank for making an impact on me. Because he is my teacher. Recently, Ben came in and we worked on a math project where our students took a video of themselves explaining what a ratio was, and they became owners of their own learning. And it was super powerful, super fun, and we just went for it. Sometimes when you're trying new things in education, you just gotta get in there and do it.
I can't point to just one. I was very lucky. I had many teachers that had an impact on me, even to this day as a grown-up. And I think the thing that they all have in common is they built a relationship with me. They cared about me. They wanted to know about me and understand me before they taught me something.
I'd have to say that the teacher that had the biggest impact on me was my college physics teacher, Shireen. She was the one that kind of made me think about all the different ways that physics is in the real world. And it was kind of like the answer to the things I'd been searching for.
The teacher that made the greatest impact on my life was John Ramirez, my 5th grade teacher. He truly inspired every single one of us that were in that classroom that year to believe in ourselves, to believe in our fire within, to pursue a higher education, and to better ourselves, our family, and our community.
And the teacher that I would like to thank is actually my mom. I was homeschooled from kindergarten all the way through high school. My mom made learning so much fun. The kitchen became the best place to learn math with all the ratios and proportions in those recipes. She really ignited a spark within me to be curious about a lot of different things, to follow my curiosities, and to be the best person that I can be.
My English teacher, Mrs. Kritzis, who was this amazing Greek woman, she would stop class and we would have like real discussions, and she would check in on us, and it was just this personal connection.
I want to say, first off, Mr. Cisneros, Martin Cisneros, very inspirational. He was my 6th grade teacher, and I remember one of the stories that he told us was that we were going off to middle school and that we really had to advocate for ourselves. The counselor wouldn't do it, a teacher wouldn't do it, but he really implanted that seed in our heart that if we were going to go to college, it was up to us to make sure that we were advocating for ourselves as much as our parents would.
The one I remember most was from middle school, and his name was Mr. David Kristoff. He always encouraged me to do my best. He took the little bundle of energy that I was and focused it along the lines of learning and reading, and was the first teacher that I had that kind of worked with me instead of trying to settle me down, sit me in the chair, and do my work.
One teacher who made a great impact on me was Coach Newsom in 7th grade. We had physical sciences that we were studying, and everything was a competition. We did experiments and made bets for malts. At the end of the year, we had a malt party, but it was the engagement and the fun that we had in the learning experience.
I'm going to say this is for my 5th grade teacher, Mr. Carl Aquaviva. He loved his students well. He cared about every single one of us. He worked with every single one of us. He built a relationship with every single one of us, and I remember him to this day and will never forget that he cared. He cared, and he loved us well, and he treated us well. Thank you, Carl.
A huge impact on me and their kids and society in doing such a wonderful job, and that is my son Ben Cogswell and my dear friend George Lopez. They are making an impact on children and the future of our society by what they're doing for them, and I thank them so much for everything.